Alright, so I've got a special video for you today, standing with my lavalier microphone. Today's video is actually about solving for knee pain in the squat, or during squatting. Everyone's situation is a little different, but I have a lot of experience in this category with helping people, and as well as myself. There's a lot in my last video, a few videos ago, maybe 2 videos ago. It was about a movement bottleneck and how your body can compensate and move incorrectly. Now, when you have a movement bottleneck will essentially lead to injury over time, especially if you get really strong. It's sort of like if you have a deflated car, if you have four wheels on a car, 4 tires, and one of them's underinflated, just by a little bit, maybe by 10 or 15% of what it should be. It probably won't be that big deal if you're going to drive maybe a mile or 2 down the street, maybe 5 miles. But if you drive across the country, or you go really, really fast on the highway, and you try to speed, it's definitely going to affect the performance significantly and will eventually wear down some of the spots that are inside the car, like the axle, just the way the car functions, and you'll have long-term problems over time because of deflated tire. Potentially a risk of an accident. So in the case of the knee, I had a client today. This is actually pretty interesting. She said she had problems with her knee pain, and one of the assessments, one of my skills and abilities is with injury prevention, injury rehab, and how to help people move better. And one of the things that we do is a squat test. I had her do her squats with her feet pointing out, or no, I had her do a squat test, but her feet pointed out, and they pointed out heavily, and her feet planted. So I'll kind of show you this in kind of my own position with my feet here. Well, let me take my shoes off so that you can better see what I'm talking about. When she was squatting, her feet were like this, and it's okay for some people to have a little bit of the feet turning out, but hers were very pronounced. And when she squatted like this. So this is actually not too bad for some people. Flattening is not good either, but in general there's a hierarchy of kind of what's good and what's bad. But one of the things that happened with her, I want to say her left knee. I'm pretty sure it's her left knee, right? So when she squatted, overhead squat test, squatting down, one of the things that happened was her knee came in just a little bit on this left side. And the one thing I look for when I look kind of on this angle, let me just show you at this angle here. It's kind of hard because I'm wearing black pants and my floor is black. Let me roll up my pants, kind of see what I'm talking about. So as she squatted, her knee came in just a little bit. And what I look at is I look at the shoelaces or the instep of the foot and the alignment of the knee. And that means knee is going in. Her right leg, on the other hand, was actually pretty strong. Well, it looked strong. And at first, she didn't have much of a problem. But as the session went on, and I had her do more squats and some step-ups and really started to bias the movement, she started to have some more problems. So kind of what's happening is she's having a lot of instability issues. And kind of what you need to do when you're trying to improve this thing is that you need to first, this was my approach. The first thing is to see if she can get her knees to go out. Make her get some external rotation torque in her hip. That's the reason why in my squat video, what I do is I do this stretch when I do my prep, especially with my particularly my right side. Let's get this knee to come out like this. That way I can stretch that external rotator. And that's kind of what I had her do so that she can get a little bit more knees out to kind of create torque in the hip. She was still having some problems. She was still having some motor control. So what I tried to have her do then is I had her do step-ups. Now, one of the things that happen when you do a step-up is that it's great because it shows a lot more problems because you're just using one side. With her foot, what happened was she stepped up, like so, step back down, no problem on the right. On the left side, it sort of went like this. I'll just kind of give you sort of a example of what she did, which is kind of interesting. She stepped up, and then locked out, and then came back down. So it's almost like as she was stepping up, her knee would go into extension, and as it went into extension, it would go into hyperextension and then come out. She basically had no control from here to here. It would have slammed the door jamb. So what she was doing is she was using her tissues, ligaments, her bones as a way to create stability. Essentially, it's kind of like holding a wall. That's kind of what's happening because your bones are sort of like walls. You hold the bones to create the structure to hold on and pause. That's the reason why if you're bench pressing, you extend your arms, or if you're standing with a really heavy weight on your back, you can hold it because you essentially have the benefits of your bones to hold the benefits of your bones or your structure basically to carry the load. Now, when you squat, that's when your muscles start to put under significant amounts of tension, ligaments and tendons. In her case, during motor pattern movements, as she moved, squat, lunge, stepped up, the thing was that she could not have control of the knee. So what was happening is that her hip and her glute on visual, so it always helps. This left hip here had trouble creating enough torque to push the knee out and create torque in the hip. So she had trouble doing this when she stepped up. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. Trying to create torque in the hip to protect the knee. And one of the things that Kelly Starrett talks about in his book, A Supple Leopard, is that the ACL is sort of like this. This is kind of how the ACL functions. And actually, yeah. It's kind of like this. This is like the knee, and this is the ACL joint, or the ACL ligaments. And then when the knee goes out, it kind of winds up. It makes these tighter. And then what happens is when the knee goes in, it actually loosens them up because like this. So there's more likelihood of something breaking if there's a severe load. So this is kind of the reason why when someone has knee pain, one of the things that you need to look at, or if you have knee pain, one of the things you need to look at is making sure you're using enough of your hips. In another video, I guess I'll talk more about that, but this is kind of getting longer than I like it to. One of the things to remember is that you need to make sure that your knee is not going in towards your midline, that your hip is activated, and that you're using your hip to create torque and stability in the knee. A lot of the time when you do have knee pain, if you have like kind of knee pain that happens on one side, kind of an ongoing basis when you squat, like in my case, it's my left side, there's a good chance there's a lot of overuse happening on that side. There's a dysfunction of some kind. In my case, I'm actually loading on my left leg more than on my right, so I'm overusing my left. My left hip and glute is much stronger. So what's happening when I squat near 80, 95%, or I say 90% of my 1 rep max, what's happening is the weight is getting to, I'm basically loading everything on my weak leg. It's gotten better over time, but that's kind of what's happening. You've got to make sure you clear up your asymmetries. So if both sides of your body are out of whack, or if you're one side stronger than the other, you got to make sure you correct that. Otherwise, over time, as you get stronger, you'll eventually experience joint pain, or you'll have problems. And it's kind of a final word and a final note. You look at people who move really well on YouTube, or even on sports like Rich Froning, the #1 CrossFit champion. You look at Johnny Candito Training HQ. It's unlikely they suffered through much knee pain at all. I mean, I'm sure they do because they do push themselves very hard, but it's unlikely that they do because if you just look at the way, if you understand biomechanics, you understand how the body moves, their hips and knees are in the ideal position for a perfect stability. The bar path is perfect. Like Johnny Candino, how is someone relatively small, 180 pounds, can move such a massive amount of weight? And I'm just thinking to myself, how is he do this shit? It's fucking amazing, right? 405 for 10. I mean, I think he did more than that, but I'm just saying, like, that was how you do that. And one thing's for sure, he's not leaning forward. The bar's moving straight up and down. Basically, there's no error in his bar path, or there's very little error. Second of all, his knees are coming out. His heels are on the ground. He's getting a lot of leverage out of his glutes. He's basically using his body in the way it was designed, with proper motion. And this is kind of why flexibility is extremely important. Second, even if you don't have a good knowledge in biomechanics, one of the things that you'll be able to notice if you follow CrossFit, you've seen Rich Froning work out with squats, or even Johnny Candito as an example on YouTube, the people who can really move well, they suffer from very few problems for the simple fact that they just move different than everybody else, or move different than a lot of people you see. They move better. Not only are they strong, they move good. And maybe, again, like I said, if you don't have a background like me, even if you if you do work out, you can tell when someone squats well. You can just look at them and they're squatting. It's like, you move well, you squat well, and it's not necessarily something that you get from like a book. It's more like you know it through experience, through watching other people. So anyways, this video got a little long. I hope this video is helpful. Got some ideas for me. If you'd like me to elaborate more on what you can do to minimize your knee pain, just tell me what your knee pain is in the description or in the comments, and I can maybe make a video about it. But anyway, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.